Welcome back to another TVGP Spoilercast. We have already been recording so much today, but we have thoughts about Assassin's Creed Odyssey. I'm your host, Boston. Joining me, as always, is Moonpier.
Hello.
As the title suggests, we're going to be spoiling. This is primarily going to be a discussion about the latter half of the game.
Yes.
The beginning is fairly bog standard, so this is your one opportunity to leave. If you do so, bye. We'll be here whenever you finish the game.
In 120 hours.
Yes. So my first note here is I don't think Phoebe's death was really earned.
Nope. 100% not. In fact, fun fact, I can't remember when this is coming out, but we essentially said as much in our Game of the Year episode.
Yeah, it'll be coming out after Game of the Year. Yeah. It's a real bummer. I was hoping, so my personal hope is that Phoebe was going to turn into one of the first assassins. Because I thought with all the wet work she was doing for all these different people and suddenly popping up, I was going to be like, oh man, she's going to be a tiny assassin. This is going to be super cool. And then one of the best parts about when they try to have a main character die like that is when you see the train wreck coming and you can't stop it. The train wreck was about 5 seconds in this.
Yeah. We're going to use Origins as a good example here, is you kind of get the hint that you might be able to save the child in Origins.
Right.
Even though the crocodile is always just like, what are you going to do?
I already did it, man.
What's happened has happened.
Right.
And you're not sure if that's just them putting it on or if it's the actual truth. So there is that constant anticipation of, is it too late or not?
I have to go.
Whereas in this, it's like, yeah, okay, there she is. Shocker.
She's dead. It's frustrating because I feel like it could have been a great scene where you bust out of the house and you see her running in the distance for just a little bit. She runs in there and next thing you know, she's dead. And it's like, could I have chased after them a little bit and we ended up in there and God, if I was only a little bit faster, if I'd done something, but
yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of a bummer. But let's talk about the jumping the shark moment.
Yeah, something I've been talking about on the show for a little bit on the regular now.
Yeah, it was spoiled for me by a news story about upcoming DLC where... So the DLC is promoted as you can explore Atlantis.
Okay.
This news story said, return to Atlantis after going there as part of the story. And I was like, no!
Yep.
No, why? So yeah, there's such a cool lead up to this point because you go to this deserted island and you're aligning the maps and you're fighting the stupid snakes. Stop putting snakes in these games.
Yep.
And you get in there, and of course it's Isu technology, and you're like, my dad is gonna be super cool in here. And then
does the whole mirror puzzle as well, doesn't it? All the way through the entirety of the ruins, which
I thought was pretty cool, a whole island. And then you get in there, and at number one, it's Atlantis, which, okay, that's fine. That's Assassin's Creed stupid.
Yep.
And then it really is your dad.
Yeah, and. Who is your dad, Boston?
Hippocrates.
What?
Yeah.
What? I think I had to skip then. Who is your dad?
Oh, Hippocrates.
No, he's not.
Yeah.
No, he's not.
Who was it?
It was Pythagoras, dude.
Oh, Pythagoras, yeah. I was thinking of... Sorry. There's a lot of people giving you missions in this game that I don't really care about, and I keep getting their names. Yes. Yeah, the fact that it's Pythagoras, it's just... He's in there, he's like, yeah, I'm your dad. I need you to do a bunch of stuff for me, because you're a tool. It's just like, you're a tool, dude.
You are literally a tool for solving equations.
Yeah.
It's... the fact that he should have been dead for at least a couple of 100 years at this point.
Yep.
I get it. Your whole point is to the staff is special kind of thing.
Isu business.
Yeah, I get that aspect of it. But why Pythagoras?
It's a weird one to choose.
Sorry, but just for those who might not have heard it at the time, I did actually throw a Pythagoras theorem joke out when I talked about this for the first time on the show itself.
Oh, yeah.
But it could have been anybody. Like, literally anybody.
I think the thing that disappoints me the most is that he's your dad. I feel like that's a piece of the story that didn't really need to get resolved, maybe? It didn't matter that her dad left and the guy, Nikolaus, was essentially her father, even though not biological. That part of the story was fine. But to have Staff Dude be her dad is sort of like... It'd be fine if you go meet him down there and he's like, hey, cool, thanks for finding me. I have a whole bunch of work for you to do to like fix this place, and I'm doing math, and I don't really want to leave. Mm-hmm. For him to be your dad was sort of like, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. It's the whole human/Isu hybrids kind of thing.
Sure.
And it would kind of make sense that he would be one because he's one of the greatest minds of his time.
Right.
And Leonidas is one because obviously one of the greatest soldiers of his time.
Right.
Why not just have Heracles be down there? Or Perseus?
Yeah, I feel like there's so much stuff that was alluded to with Hercules that I'm surprised he didn't show up in the game, but I never really know where the myth of Hercules is supposed to be time-wise, so I feel like it's almost earlier than this game was.
Mm-hmm. But that's fine. Like, have the myth of I mean, they talk about Heracles a lot. Have him be in there as the legendary hero. Why Pythagoras? I mean, I get it. It's a
weird one.
Logically, it kind of makes sense because you're going to need a mathematician to be able to look at all of the data and stuff coming out of that stuff to be able to.
Oh yeah, all the Isu stuff.
I get that aspect of it, but still, come on, Pythagoras. I get it, but I hated it. Like it's
the thing for me is that Atlantis is fun because it's Assassin's Creed dumb. Pythagoras is just odd. Mm-hmm. Like you said, I get it. You got to put the smartest dude in the math chamber to do the math.
Yeah,
it's just a little weird.
It would make sense that he is the dude who gets obsessed with being in that room and using this staff to keep himself alive longer, so we can figure out more math. Like
right. Even though it'll never happen.
Yeah. He even gets dissed at one point for that exact reason. Like
yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, shall we talk about the conversations that go on between... Hold on, let me see if I can get this right. The Isu recordings and Pythagoras, the Isu recordings and Cassandra, the Isu recordings and Isabella? No, it's not Isabella.
Oh, Lila?
Yes, the recordings of Lila.
Modern day lady.
Yes, and then the Isu recordings and you.
Yeah, that stuff was really... So I didn't realize when he gave me all the missions that I could go back one after the other and listen to those. I thought you had to wait until you had all four of them, so I listened to all four of them back to back, which was a good call. A lot of that stuff is interesting. And that I feel like that stuff isn't the stuff that was as impactful as the bomb they dropped at the end of Origins.
Refresh my memory. What was the bomb at Origins?
So, a spoiler for Origins. I'm assuming everyone has played it if you're listening to this. Yeah. But the spoiler at the end of Origins was that the Animus can not only view the past but change the past.
Yes, because okay, I remember now.
Yeah, so I feel like
talking about like if you can get it to do the right kind of things, it can alter the math of yesterday. Yeah,
exactly. Yes, exactly. And I feel like that revelation is the next thing we'll talk about. But I wish the Isu stuff for this game was as impactful. But I guess you can only do one of those in an Assassin's Creed game.
Yeah,
yeah. I thought that stuff was good, and I felt like it was a lot less confusing and a lot less word jumble than the stuff that was in Origins.
Yeah, the stuff in Origins it felt like it was trying to be deliberately phrased to be high and mighty.
Yes.
Whereas this felt very much like the person who's actually speaking, much more down to earth. Because the Isu that you're almost specifically dealing with in this one is the rebel Isu who doesn't like the big powerful Isu but loves humans and wants the best for everybody. And it's like, okay, so we found the good one.
Right. Well, at least the one that's on our side.
Yes. And I mean, going back to those conversations, like I love it when they start smack talking Pythagoras, and Pythagoras is just like, "No, you're not talking to me because you're just a recording," and then like,
and they're basically like, "Give it up, dude." Cough, cough, cough.
Yeah, and then like I think it's like the next one or the one after that when they're talking to Layla, and Pythagoras is complaining about how he doesn't know what they're talking about. And Cassandra's just like, maybe it's not a message for you or me. Maybe it's a message for someone else.
I like that. It's just like, it's not all about you, dude.
Yeah.
What was the last message? I don't remember that one.
I think the last one was the conflagration of all of it, where it's just talking about like the links between the staff, the Animus, the relics, and the Isu technology, and how basically they kind of have to protect the Isu technology because otherwise that's what they're going to use to change the future kind of thing.
Right, and it's like leading into the Assassins versus, the little bit of Assassins versus Templars they talk about in this game, which is Chaos versus Order. And the Cult of Cosmos represents Order in the extreme, and Cassandra is aligning herself with Chaos.
But that's the thing is, I think, this is what I think is the most interesting thing about this specific aspect, and I knew this was going to come up, and I'm interested to hear your thoughts. So I'm assuming we're talking about the true ending here, which is
the true ending was in 2018. Wait, Cassandra's alive?
Yes, Layla.
I wrote in my note, Cassandra's alive, and the emoji of like,
yes, and
that was genuinely a reveal.
Yeah, and she's wearing a sweet ass suit.
She's wearing a super cool suit, and her hair is still the same, and I was like, all right, Cassandra, you're 100% now my favorite, because you're like this total boss in modern day.
And she even makes a sad reference to how Icarus is gone.
Yeah, she's
it's like,
yeah, so because I think Layla calls her Eagle Bearer, and she's like, people call me that a long time ago, but Icarus has been gone for a while, and I was like, no.
Yeah, it's a really nice little reference. The thing that tickles me about this is Layla references the fact that she is currently aligned with Chaos. Like, Layla is aligned with Chaos in the fact that she is aligning with the Assassins, the ability for everyone to make their own choices. And they are fighting against the rigid order of the Templars.
Right.
But Cassandra references the fact that she fought for order against Chaos.
Right.
Which then becomes this thing of, well, was the Cult of Cosmos really the start of the Assassins, or was it the start of the Templars?
Right.
Because we know, unfortunately, through notes that the Cult of Cosmos does evolve to become the Order of the Ancients, which is the start of the Templar Order in Origins.
And I believe that's starting, looking at the trophies for the DLC, it looks like some of that's some transition stuff happening there.
Yeah.
But neither one of us have played it.
Yeah. And from what I understand as well is the Cult of Cosmos started as a benevolent thing before turning into what it became. So what that's telling me is the cult started as the Assassins and the Templars working together. Then,
to like make Greece the best it could be.
Yeah, and then the quote-unquote wicked people took over and used the cult to gain power and make sure everything was going in their way, which is more towards the Templar side of things, which is the side of order to the extreme.
Well, and I feel like them wielding Deimos as a weapon is the thing that pushed them into whichever extreme, because it really is a Cassandra's little speech very much is saying like, look, both need to happen to stay in balance, but when one side goes to the extreme, you have to figure out a way to get the other side to check them. And I think Deimos was the extreme, the starting point of the extreme.
Yeah, where because Deimos was chaos, that's the best thing as well. It's like it's hard to place all of the factions in Odyssey into the Assassins or Templars role,
right?
Because both sides vary and sway into both of those traditional archetypes that we've been dealing with for the past 56 games or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's this really interesting look of before everything happens, everyone is kind of a little bit of everything. And like you said, the speech Cassandra makes is incredible, where it's like, look, you can't have it all the way you want it to be. It needs to be balanced perfectly, because if it's not, that's how you get close to world-ending events, and that's not even including the solar flares or whatever that are going to wipe out.
I like that they brought back the solar flares. We're like, look, we already prevented that. It's like, I feel like there's an eye roll to I don't even remember what his name was in the 2 trilogy. Miles? No.
Miles was the English dude.
Yeah. I don't remember. But the thing that is so interesting to me with what I'm calling the true ending, which is this Cassandra scene, is now it's the understanding that Layla is immortal, which, let's just say, is a really big story beat.
As long as she has the staff.
Right, as long as she has the staff.
How about this one for a die roll thrown in there? Layla must be part Isu. To use the staff the way she's using it.
Yeah,
it's
probably.
kind of implied that only people who have that bloodline will be able to do it.
Yeah. The thing that's really interesting to me is, from Ubisoft's side, how do you open the next Assassin's Creed game saying, by the way, if you didn't play Assassin's Creed Odyssey, this lady who used to be with Abstergo but now has this homemade VR thing that's really cool, she's immortal. Let's get back to the game. It's like, what?
Yeah. I know, it starts with a scene from Lord of the Rings and she's like slamming her staff down in the middle of the walkway saying, you shall not pass.
Right. Yeah, it's so weird because I feel like in previous Assassin's Creed games, this would have been the post-credits scene, where it would have been like, oh, now Cassandra's back in Middleton. It's just, but the fact that they don't lock it behind this stuff, but it is behind this longer quest chain is really interesting.
Yeah, it threw so many like spanners into so many different theories, like the whole which side is which, who's fighting for who, because the way Cassandra speaks about it, she makes it sound like she's fighting for the Templars in the game.
Or like both.
Yeah,
throughout history, like she's been on one side or the other.
Yeah, and it's the Lord of Shadows ending all over again.
Yeah,
where it's like, why would you show me this and then not immediately have announcements for a game covering that time period?
Yeah, can you make a modern day Cassandra spin-off, please?
Yes, or even just like a 1980s Cassandra spin-off, like
just so cool.
Oh.
She has pink hair. It'd be great.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think one thing I wanted to talk about that we haven't really been able to talk about on the show is the 4 triangle, the pyramid quests, which is basically go to the 4 corners and get some stuff. I really like the design choices they made for all 4 of those
of the mythical beasts. Yeah.
Beasts, especially Medusa. I thought that was a real. The thing is, like, that has to be really hard because we've seen these things for across dozens of movies and TV shows and games, and to make a different spin on some of the stuff, like the Sphinx looked about how you'd think it would. But
I like that as well, though, because that's not even a fight. Like, that's great.
No, it's just like, hey man, you got out with the Sphinx. It's like, all right, I like that.
Yeah.
But I thought the Medusa design looked really cool.
I love the Medusa design, and her area was insanely cool as well.
Yeah,
like the whole
all foggy
petrified
and moody
forest as well. It was like so amazing.
Yeah, and that was a really good reveal because, like, what's going to happen as soon as like the first people show up, and you're like, oh no, okay, this is the Medusa fight, and having that reveal was pretty cool. Yeah,
I think, don't hold me to this, but I think there is actually a cure for the petrification as well, because I now have a side quest which is go find these plants for the woman who led you down there. Like, you were helping the woman find the woman she loved.
Right.
I have another quest from her to find a bunch of plants for to solve the petrification issue.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah. Too many side quests.
The only last thing I want to talk about is the ending I got. I did get the happy ending where everyone's around the dinner table and
yes.
everybody is... I got the good ending, which I think...
It's a bad ending.
Yeah, I think the only thing... And this might be too subtle of a thing for an Assassin's Creed game to deal with without devoting a lot more time to it, is that you don't get to... Again, we haven't played the DLC, which it'll be a bummer if some of the stuff is handled in the DLC. But it's a little bit of a bummer that everyone has a happy ending, but you don't get to really see the side effects. Like Nikolaus reuniting with his family, his Deimos especially trying to deal with the horrible stuff he's done. Instead, the cutscene has him like wrestling with that Stentor guy.
Yep.
And it's like, it feels a little bit like a Hallmark movie. And where I really wanted it to be was like, we're all back together, but are we any better off? Like, was that the right choice to make?
My ending was very interesting because my ending had... So the last mission, you go up to the top of the mount, whatever it is, Sinai?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Where your home is?
Yeah. And you meet Deimos there, and then the ending happens, essentially. I got there, and we went through a text conversation of talking about, like, I was trying to save him.
Right.
I was trying to bring him to my side.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, oh yeah, the mistakes I've made, what have I done? And then your mother goes over, gives him a hug, and then he promptly drives his sword through your mother while you watch.
Whoa.
And he's like, I regret nothing.
Wow.
And Cassandra, like, tears streaming down her face, is just like, Deimos! Like, pulls out the spear, pulls out a sword, and then it's just full-on fight scene.
Metal Gear Rex style fight.
Yep. My favorite part of this was I had 2 bounties on me at the time, so 2 mercenaries came up that hill slowly and then promptly got wrecked by me and Deimos, which was hilarious.
Wow.
But it's a big, long, protracted fight. At the end of it, I killed him. There was a really emotional cutscene with, like, her basically saying, look, I tried to save you. I tried to help. It didn't have to go this way. Here is a spear through the chest. And then this really emotional scene with, like, picking up her mother's corpse. And then at the end of the game, when you go and have the dinner back at your house, it's Nikolaus on one side of the table, Cassandra on the other, Stentor dead center in the middle, all by himself, like with 2 empty chairs either side of him.
Right.
And then Cassandra's like making small talk, like literally the smallest of small talk. So how's
the weather?
How's life?
How the Browns doing this year?
And Stentor is clearly messed up on wine.
Right.
And Cassandra's like, Stentor, can you pass me some of that wine, please? And he picks her up, throws her on the floor, and then just basically goes...
I wish that Stentor hadn't lived in either one of the playthroughs, because it would have been a great scene if it was just you and Nikolaus.
Mm-hmm.
And just like, was it worth it, man?
Yeah.
I don't know.
But I had the bad ending, and I liked my ending more.
Yeah, you definitely got more of an emotional punch, because I feel like you got closure with Deimos.
Mm-hmm. He didn't get redemption. He didn't deserve redemption.
Right.
Like, that's the biggest thing. Like, that's the biggest issue my wife has with it, is this guy has done unspeakable things.
Yeah. Without really any repentance.
Yes. He doesn't deserve the happy ending. And I'm kind of glad I got to use our father's spear and drive it through his chest.
Yeah, and I feel like there's some nuance that definitely needed to happen during his whole redemption arc that, again, that has not been the strongest point of the Assassin's Creed series. And I really hope they continue to work on that. But I'm 100% with you that I think the happy ending is probably the bad ending, because if they're not going to... I like happy endings, and it was nice to see everybody there and like have the Hallmark Christmas moment, but without them dealing with any of the fallout, it feels a little hollow.
Yeah.
I'm not entirely sure how I would want them to deal with it. Maybe each one of them will give you a side quest where you go, deal with something from their past and kind of try to make amends, but there wasn't really any of that. And that's a bit of a bummer.
Yeah. Oh.
But, I think the hard part is Assassin's Creed Odyssey made huge strides in improving its storytelling by, as we talked about, not having Assassins versus Templars be the center of the story, and by having you direct your story much, much more than before with the dialogue trees. And we talked about it during Game of the Year. There are 9 endings. But where they made so many strides in 95% of the game, if you're going to do that, you have to put a good capstone on it. And I think that's where they really dropped the ball. And I'm hoping that they keep all that dialogue stuff in the next game and then just find a way to kind of tie that bow on the end of it and make it really satisfying. Because if not, for a lot of people, that's going to invalidate a big part of the story that they were writing themselves.
Yeah.
And that's a bummer.
Really quick before I'm assuming we're getting close to signing off now.
Yeah.
The final cultist.
I have not done it yet, but it's okay if you spoil it.
Do you know who it is?
No,
I'm not going to tell you then. I was curious to see if you've done it.
I have my last of the not the center person, but the ring right around them. Yeah, I have one more sage to do, which is... So I'm level 54, and the sage is 51, but they're in a leader house, and I don't feel like fighting all of the stuff to just kill that person, so I have to weaken the island one notch so I can just get rid of the bodyguard. So I've been doing everything else before I'm sort of wrapping that up. So I'm really excited just to see who it is, because I still genuinely don't know.
There's a very interesting cutscene at that point as well. Like, it's not a case of go and kill this person. It's a case of go and have a cutscene and a protracted discussion with this person.
Okay.
To talk about the who's, the hows, the what's, and the whys.
Is it... who's the philosopher you've been talking about the whole time? Is it him?
Hippocrates.
No, the chubby guy with the blue tunic.
Yeah, that's Hippocrates. No, Hippocrates is the doctor. Socrates,
yeah. Is it Socrates?
No, it's not.
That'd be really good. Like, all right, now we argue about it. It's no!
I guarantee you, if you were to load it up and read the clues you've discovered, you would figure out who it is.
Okay. Yeah, some of those clues are interesting, but I haven't really spent the brain power to put them together. So yeah, not a complete spoilercast for us, but we're just about to go on our holiday break. So we wanted to
squeeze it in.
We wanted to talk about Atlantis.
Yeah,
really, that's mostly Atlantis and a super cool badass suit Cassandra.
Stupid Pythagoras.
Yeah. So crazy. What? By the way, when you said that originally, when you said it, you were hoping it was anybody else. Mm-hmm. I was hoping, what I was expecting was that it was a modern day Jump the Shark, where Desmond, there's his name, Desmond's dad did something terrible in modern day.
Okay,
I thought you were going to be like anybody else. Like that dude wasn't really present during the game, which was nice.
Yeah.
But Miles, I thought it was going to be something...
Miles' last name, by the way. That's where Miles came from, because it's Desmond Miles.
Desmond Miles.
I think it's William.
Yes, I think so. I thought he was going to do something horrible, like bomb a city or something in modern day, and it was going to like turn people against the assassins. But maybe that'll be the next game.
Who knows?
Yeah. Who knows what happens when he shows up?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, but thank you very much for listening. And I don't know what game we'll do next with a spoiler. Probably Spider-Man. That'd be a fun one whenever I'm done with that. Maybe we'll do a spoiler cast for that. But thank you so much for listening. We'll see you all next time.